Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to cross the Øresund once again, and we're going to go back to Sjælland in Denmark and visit a brewery that I've never tried anything from before. So these guys are a very new addition to the Danish beer scene from what I understand, but their beers have been getting some really positive write-ups in recent times. They've got very high ratings on Untappd and Rate Beer and all these kind of things. Now the beer in particular that we're going to look at is a style that they've done quite a few of. They are supposed to be very good when it comes to this style category as well, and we've also reviewed many of these on the channel. It's a very popular beer style at the moment. So needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. It's always nice to support the Danish beer scene and introduce new breweries to you here on the channel, so hopefully this is another good one. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head to a little place called Espergærde, which is to the south of Helsingør in the northeastern corner of Sjælland. Of course, that is to the north of Copenhagen. And we're going to have a look at my first beer from the Many Worlds Brewing. So this particular beer is called Cosmic Collision. It comes in at 8.1% ABV, and this one is a double IPA. Now it also has wheat and oats listed along with barley malt in this one in the ingredients list. So yeah, I think it's safe to assume that this one is a New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA. But I bought this beer at Kiosk in Copenhagen, which as you'll know is one of my favourite beer shops over the water there, along with Beer Hive. And yeah, it was the artwork that really caught my eye. You know, I have a background in chemistry and astrophysics, now work in programming. It was just the whole cosmic collision thing that caught my eye. I saw it was a Danish brewery, one that I hadn't heard of. I thought, you know, we have to get one of these to review. So yeah, here we are, our first review from the Many Worlds Brewing. These guys have been getting a lot of positive press, so I think it is about time that we have a little look and see what their beer is all about. So let's crack on with this one then and see what we have. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future from the Many Worlds Brewing. This is the very first time I'm encountering these guys, of course, but there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support you give is massively appreciated, and you can, of course, go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging based system. So you can search for beer on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever you want, and you can of course check out the playlist of different beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Danish playlist. But anyway, on to my brewery notes then to tell you a little bit about the Many Worlds Brewing. So Many Worlds Brewing is based in Espergærde, apologies for the bad Danish pronunciation, which you'll find just a little bit to the south of Helsingør in the northeastern part of Sjælland in Denmark, the easternmost of the main Danish islands, I guess you could say. But the company was founded officially in 2021, but it actually started as the home brewing project of Christopher Hauer, and he said he'd been home brewing since about 2017, but he'd been home brewing as well before that since he was 17. But he's been involved in the beer industry for a number of years, and he worked as a bartender at Tap House in Copenhagen before then going on to work for the Bruce Brew Pub, which is of course attached to Toul, and it was there that he really started to learn the brewing trade. So he went on to work as a brewer at Toul City as well, and then for Mikkel Bauhavn, who brewed their beers, of course, at Warpigs, and that is their sour beer project. But originally, when he was looking to start up his own beer brand, there were a couple of batches brewed at Bruce, but then Chris moved the brewery to Espergærde, and he's now, you know, doing everything up there. But they released their first commercial beers in 2021, and the brewery is operating a 14 hectolitre or, 1400 litre brew kit. But they aim to brew 25 batches over the course of 2022, and yeah, he was telling me that they brewed batch 20 at the time of filming this one. So they are going at it quite hard, I have to say. But as of October 2022, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 30 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. There's a lot of IPAs in there. There were a few darker beers as well, and I did see one or two sours listed in the Untappd page as well. So you can go and have a look at that, of course, and see for yourself what they've done. But most of the beers are named after different scientific phenomena and things like this, and yeah, he says he wants to implement new scientific ideas in brewing and things like that. So yeah, it should be an interesting brewery to keep an eye on going forward. But yeah, as I say, that was the reason why this can caught my eye when I was looking around Kiosk and then I saw it was a new Danish brewery, so why not? But yeah, that is pretty much everything I can tell you about the Many Worlds Brewing for the moment. They are very early into their journey, of course, so we'll just need to see how things progress with them. But a big thank you to Chris for messaging me through Instagram. I messaged him just to fill in a few of the gaps in the notes and stuff, and he was great to talk to. So we'll need to see if we can get him on for a Meet the Brewer at some point in the future. I need to start those up again now that the whole COVID-19 thing has kind of disappeared. But yeah, that's everything you need to know about these guys for the moment. If you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on the usual social media. That will keep you up to date with what's going on, and you can of course check out the Untappd page to learn more about the different kinds of beers that they've done, and hopefully we'll get more reviews from these guys on the channel at some point soon. But yeah, let's crack on and have a wee look at the beer itself. So as we said earlier, this one is an 8.1% New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA. This is a 440ml can. I want to say that I paid about 55 or 60 Danish krona for this. So what's that? That's about 80 Swedish. So it was about €8, maybe about £7.50 sterling, somewhere in the region of like $8.50, $9 American, just to give those of you watching across the world a different idea. Of course, Danish beer, the Danish kroner is significantly stronger than the Swedish one. It's about 40% stronger. So yeah, the Danish beers, they are a wee bit more expensive, of course, but that's Scandinavia. That's kind of how it goes. But relative to our wages, it's pretty okay, to be honest. But yeah, as you can see, plain silver top on the can there, 440ml like we've mentioned. This one is hopped with mainly Citra, which we know very well, 14% alpha acid American hop, lovely big mango notes, and a New England IPA. You're also going to see a lot of the kind of lemon limey character out of it, but there's also a little bit of Ella in here from what I understand. And that one, it's an Australian hop, if I remember rightly, about 10-12% alpha acid, and it gives you a nice kind of slightly pineapple-y, passion fruity type note actually. We've not had Ella for a good wee while, come to think of it. But yeah, beautiful artwork on this one. As I say, you can see the hop flower asteroid just kind of crashing into some kind of planet. It is pretty damn cool. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the taste, and then I'm very curious to see what Many Worlds Brewing is going to be like. One of the other things that Chris actually asked me to mention in the video was that they focus on cold chain. You know, they focus on cold storage for their beers. So everything you get from Many Worlds Brewing, they insist that it is sold. They keep it in cold storage, of course, when it's canned in the brewery, and they insist that it's sold from cold storage as well. So he says this makes a massive difference to the flavour, and this one has been kept in cold storage apart from for a few hours when I was going back from Copenhagen to Lund here in Sweden. So yeah, that was only about 3 hours or something like that, so it should still be okay, but we'll see. So anyway, as you can see, and as you would expect, this beer has poured beautifully. So before the head disappears, you can see that it's come with about a half finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white head. It is fading away in the middle, but you've got that really nice kind of more bubbly edge around so you can see some nice medium-sized bubbles there. But colour-wise, this one looks absolutely beautiful. I would describe this as being a mix of a kind of mango pineapple juice type colour, but yeah, it looks really, really nice, this one. In terms of the colour of the beer, remember that depends on the different types of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugar's caramelised, thus you get a darker colour of beer. Any barrel aging that you do or any adjuncts that you put in will affect the colour of that beer too. But like I say, you know, when it comes to New England IPAs, you're not going to have to care about those two variables, or IPAs in general, come to think of it. But yeah, in terms of the level of haziness in this one is actually one of the soupier and gloopier ones that I've come across recently. So the haze in these beers depends on the oat content, wheat content, and to a degree the yeast. It can vary from beer to beer and brewery to brewery. There's not really a rule about that. But yeah, it looks very, very nice, this one. Quite obviously unfiltered. But yeah, lovely, lovely looking beer. And to be honest, nothing surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider what style it is. One or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass there. There are just one or two tiny little bits of sediment floating around in it. But yeah, it looks pretty damn good, I have to say. So let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one and just see what we have. Very curious about this beer, as I said. Ooh, yeah. It smells pretty damn nice, actually. First impression of it, It's not got the most pungent of aromas, but the first thing that comes out for me is the green component. You do get a nice little bit of floral depth to this beer. You've also got a nice bit of grassy zestiness, but it strikes me as if it's going to be a more kind of creamy one. There's quite a bit of oaty character coming out of the malt base of this one for me in the first look at the nose, and then yeah, it's quite soft and tropically, which you would expect from the two hops that are in here. So yeah, bear that in mind. I think it is mainly Citra. It's mainly a Citra forward IPA, this one. I remember one of the best Danish IPAs back in the day was the Raw Power from Abeltoft Gårdbryggeri on Jylland. It was really, really good. So yeah, this one, if it's all Citra, it should be pretty damn good. Citra's one of the kind of few hops, I think, that you can do single hop IPAs with. You know, Mosaic, Galaxy are another two. Nelson Sauvin can work as well. But there's very few hops that can carry themselves, I think, in single hop IPAs. Usually it's best to have at least two hops in there. But aroma-wise, this beer is pretty damn nice, and you can tell that this beer is pretty damn fresh as well. So yeah, for me, it comes across as a kind of oaty and tropical and, you know, floral leaning IPA. So as I've said to you before, for me, when it comes to the kind of malty and yeasty side of the New England IPAs, they can lean six ways. They can be farmhousey and yeasty, they can be rye leaning and grainy. The ones that lean that way are a little bit more common in the US. But yeah, you've got wheaty, bitey notes, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and then the kind of sweetness in there as well. And those, of course, you tend to find quite often in European ones, and you'll find a whole mixture of those in pretty much every New England IPA. But like I say, this one strikes me as being quite oaty. But let's break this aroma down a little bit more in depth. So the backbone of the beer, absolutely, you get a little bit of that fresh white bread crust. It almost smells as if it has like a little bit of flour left on the crust. It's kind of like that. But above that, of course, you do get a little bit of that, you know, soft white bread from the barley malt. I wouldn't be surprised. There's something familiar about this aroma. I would not be surprised if there's golden promise in here. Yeah, definitely would not be surprised if golden promise is something they've used in this beer. So yeah, lovely little bit of white bread in there. You can smell the wheat, and it's a very fresh and fluffy white bread as well. But you can smell the, as I say, you can smell the fresh, you can smell the sort of thickness that the wheat is giving this beer as well. So you can smell the wheat just densifying the bready layer out. It's actually a very straight shooting malt base in a lot of ways. Bit of bread crust, pardon me, a lot of white bread, a thicker white bread on top, and then you start to get the oaty kind of creaminess out of the beer. So yeah, the way that this beer goes together in that way is really, really nice. You get that big oaty creaminess out of it. It just works, and then in the middle of the nose, when it's 8.1%, this isn't surprising, but you do get a little bit of that kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing, and that, of course, is the alcohol, and that's the thing you can get from Golden Promise. It's always going to give you a little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy, or or a little bit of kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit. There's a wee bit of that going on in this one for sure, actually. I really like how all that pieces together. Yeah, aroma malty side of this beer, it is quite nice. Yeah, it's just a big creamy oaty IPA, this one, isn't it? I don't think there's anything else we need to say about that, to be honest with you. This one doesn't even have, you know, some of these beers always have a little bit crackery element to them, and this one doesn't have that just because the oats. I think this is a really oat forward New England IPA, but we'll need to see when we taste it. But on the hoppy side of things, like I say, the green component really leans toward a kind of floral, grassy type thing. So there's a little bit of earthiness in there. Of course, you're always going to get just a little touch of earthiness, but that really takes a back seat. Nice big kind of oily floral notes to it, a little bit of grassiness in there. And yeah, you do have that. You can tell with this beer, absolutely, it's relying on late addition and dry hopping for sure. Remember, 3 types of hopping. Early addition, that gives you most of your bitterness within the first hour of the wort boil. Late addition is the last half hour of the wort boil. Mainly flavour and aroma. Mainly flavour and aroma, but a little bit of bitterness. Then dry hopping is all flavour and aroma. So all 3 of these West Coast IPAs use all 3. New England's tend to rely mostly on the latter 2. But yeah, aroma-wise, green component for me, good bit of floral character, nice little bit of grassiness, as we've said, and it's quite wet overall in that sense. But yeah, on the fruity side of things with this beer, for me, you get a little touch of that kind of more pungent passion fruit in this one. But yeah, then it's all about the big juicy mangoes and things. There's a little bit of yeah, there's a little bit of that, as we say. Yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of apricot-y, sort of papaya type thing underneath. And then yeah, there's a wee bit of pineapple on top of that, and that's, I think Ella's going to maybe give you the kind of papaya and the pineapple and things. But Citra's the one I think that's giving you most of the kind of juicy mango. I really like how all that goes together for sure. But yeah, on top of all of that, you do start to get a little bit of a kind of there is a little touch of that kind of lemony, limey, zesty character at the very front of the nose, and that mixes in with some of the grassy esters that you're getting out of this beer. So yeah, the way that this beer goes together for me gets a big thumbs up. Actually, I think this one's very, very nicely done. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that in terms of the aroma, but as I always say, take a wee bit of time to ponder over the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But now it is time to actually taste this one. So yeah, this is the Cosmic Collision, a New England hazy imperial double, whatever you want to call it, IPA from the Many Worlds Brewing in Espergærde near Helsingør on Sjælland in Denmark. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers. Oh yeah. Going to say straight away, that is pretty damn good. Yeah, that's a very nice New England. As I was suspecting, it is very much like, you know, it really is very much like it's a big, creamy, sort of silky New England IPA, this one. Really is very nice. So, based on this one, if the other New Englands are like this, you can kind of see why. You can see why this brewery has been getting quite a bit of hype, actually. So, you know, thumbs up to Christopher for this. He's pulled off a really, really solid beer. You know, this is the thing, you know, the New England IPA is the kind of hype style at the moment. It's been like that for quite a long time. But yeah, this is a very, very well done New England IPA for me. I love the kind of creaminess that it has. Actually gives you a little bit of bitterness, I think, until the as you go further into the aftertaste as well. You are just getting a little bit of the kind of dustiness from the dry hopping and things as well. So it's very fresh. You can tell that as well with this one, that it's very, very fresh. As I've said to you before, when it comes to the oaty character in beers, that's always an indicator of how fresh your beer is. The more creamy it is that the oats are, fresher the beer is, the kind of more dry and things they are, the older the beer is. So you have to be aware of that with these for sure. But yeah, this is pretty damn nice, I have to say. Yeah, I really like how this pieces together. So yeah, for me, big creamy, soft tropical and quite floral IPA. This one actually, it really does give you a bit more floral character the further into the aftertaste that you go with it. So big thumbs up from me for sure. So let's try and break this down a wee bit and just see. So yeah, on the malty side of things, then there's a little bit of in the backbone of the beer, the malty backbone of the beer. There's a nice little bit of that bread crusty character that I was talking about, and that absolutely does form the backbone of the beer. So fresh, white bready bread crust, not too grainy, actually fairly smooth. Above that, I actually do get some of the kind of Jacob's cream cracker notes that I wasn't picking up in the aroma. So there is a little bit of that there. But then, as we talked about in the aroma, above that, you start to get all the nice kind of bready characteristics out of the beer. So you can definitely feel some of the stuff from the pale malt base. Absolutely, you've got that nice little bit of kind of pale malt just sitting on top of all of that. You can feel that fluffy white bread, but then above that, you can feel that more dense layer of white bread. Try and not knock my table over. You can feel that slightly more dense layer from the wheat in there. And what I would say about this beer is that that's one thing where the flavour and the aroma actually diverge a little bit. This beer does have a good bit more wheaty character than I was suspecting it would from the aroma, and that takes a wee bit of time to come out, that's for sure. So yeah, the wheaty character on top of the soft white bread, that densifies the bread, but you can feel the beer just has a little touch of a kind of bitey note above that, but it goes together like really, it really does go together really, really nicely in that sense. Above the white bready, kind of layer, you can feel the oaty creaminess coming out of this beer. So you've got a layer that just feels quite dense, but it's still quite creamy. So down the middle line of your tongue, you really get this very nice kind of just oaty creaminess to the beer, which I certainly really like. So yeah, lovely kind of oaty creaminess. And you can feel it's, as you move out toward the edge of the palate, you will get a little touch of dryness from the oats there, but you're always going to get that. You will always get a little bit of that. But above all, in the dead centre of your palate, you've got that nice kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy type note coming out of the beer, which again, I can really, I do really like that about this beer. So yeah, lovely little butter candy, butterscotch type thing coming out of this beer. And then as you move further out from that, you start to get a little bit of a more, as you move out toward the extremities of the middle of your palate, above the oaty layer, there is a little touch of biscuit to this one. I do think there's some golden promise in this. But the beer itself, it does, the more you drink of it, you do actually kind of feel the booziness out of the beer. Just a little bit. And that's what I like about this, when you drink some of these New England doubles, they actually can cover their alcohol very, very well. This one covers it quite well, but it still gives you that bit of punch to know, yeah, you are drinking a New England double. Because some of them can just be ridiculously easy. Some of them can be very, very easy to drink. So, yeah, this one does give you a little bit of that alcohol bite to it, which I do enjoy. So, I think that's quite nice. You just get a little bit of boozy hit out of this, but beautiful beer, as I said. So I need to try some of the other ones and see what they're like as well. But yeah, let's go on to the back third of the palate. I think we said everything we need to about the middle. I don't know why my throat, I must have taken something into the back of my throat there. Try and refresh it a little bit. But anyway, so border region between middle third and back third of your palate. Again, you get a little bit of a bready build up there, so a nice little bit of fresh white bready build up. Base of the back third of your palate, you've got a nice little bit of kind of straight up bread crust in there. So yeah, nice little bit of kind of fresh grainy bread crust. On top of that, again, you get a little bit of I would say, you get a bit of a more, the white bready layer is a little bit taller but a bit more airy, and at the same time above that you get the wheaty layer, which is also kind of taller, but the wheaty layer on the back third of your palate certainly gives you a lot more kind of bitiness and things to the beer. But I like that, and above all of that you're starting to get some of the really light, airy, kind of yeasty esters coming out of the beer as well. So you've got like a very airy kind of farmhousey bread. It's got a little slight woody character to it, just a wee bit of an almost kind of like honeycomb sort of thing. So above the wheaty layer on the back third of the palate, there is like a very light, kind of airy, bready sweetness kind of thing going on. So yeah, those are your yeasty. Those are the kind of yeasty notes for me. But yeah, definitely back third of the palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. And then as you come further forward, it just condenses it just condenses down a little bit and squashes together. But yeah, I think that covers your malty and yeasty side of things quite well in this one. So yeah, the way that this beer goes together, I think, is very, very nice on the malty yeasty side of things. Let's focus on the hoppy part of the beer then. So back corners of the palate, you've got that nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it very quickly becomes quite floral. I think there has been a little bit of early edition hop with this one, because you do get a little bit of that depth and slight danky character out of this beer. So you do get a little bit of that dankness out of the hops. So yeah, but as you move further forward, you do get a more kind of spicy floral aromatic note out of this one, which is quite nice. So I think this beer, it strikes me as being a little bit more bitter than some of the than some of the New Englands I've had in recent times. I wouldn't be surprised if this one was a bit higher in IBUs. But round the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and grassy. There's a wee bit of zestiness in there. But yeah, nice big kind of floral notes as well. So yeah, goes together really nicely, this one. So yeah, let's focus on the front third of your palate and the kind of fruity side of the beer. I think we don't need to say anything more about the green component, to be honest with you. So, border region between front third and middle third of your palate, then you can feel that nice little bit of kind of bready, white bready build up there. So yeah, a little bit of white bready build up. Then the base of the front third of your palate is really nice and smooth and oaty. You really start to get some sweetness out of the oats in this beer as well. And I think this one does get nice, and the oaty character does get a little bit sweeter and things the further into the actual beer that you go. But on top of that kind of oaty bready layer, you can feel that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just kind of roll their way out of the beer. So for me, at the back of that front third of your palate, you do get a little touch of that stronger grapefruity character that Citra can always give you. So a little bit of that going on. As you move further forward, you get a little bit of the more pungent passion fruit, but then it kind of mellows out, and you've got a big juicy mango character for this one. So yeah, the way that goes together is really very, very nice. So yeah, grapefruit, a little bit of passion fruit, big juicy mango. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's showing you the typical Citra characteristics. Underneath that though, you do start to get a little bit of a kind of papaya, apricot-y sort of thing, and as you push toward the kind of middle of that front third of your palate, it's all about the kind of pineapple. So yeah, it's all about the kind of pineapple notes. You've got a little bit of that oily pineapple-y character. So then as you move toward the kind of very front of that front third of your palate, you start to get the more kind of lemony, limey notes from the Citra as well. Because I think that the pineapple and the sort of softer notes, the apricot and papaya and stuff, I think that's going to come from the Ella that's in here. But yeah, at the front tip of your tongue, it is quite lemony and quite zesty, and that's Citra showing you it's more just kind of citrusy side. If you put Citra on a West Coast IPA, of course, it shows you a bit more of a slightly gooseberry lychee type thing, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it just kind of goes to show you hops can behave in different ways depending on what yeasts and malts and things you put them with. But yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about the actual flavour of the beer. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, to round off this review, for me, this beer's kind of top end of mid-body, bottom end of full body. It's definitely one of the kind of thicker and creamier New England doubles, I should say, that I've come across over the last little while. So yeah, I think that that does go together very, very nicely. But on top of that, you do have with the kind of thicker body that really has a nice kind of creamy note to it. So it's a big kind of thick, creamy, and quite juicy New England IPA. In terms of the IBUs in this beer, I would say that this one is maybe 40 or 50. It's definitely got a kind of more 40 or 50 IBU type note to it. It doesn't strike me as being only 30. And like I said earlier, the bitterness does build up in this one. You've got a wee bit of graininess and kind of stuff underneath. You've got some nice breadiness in there and a little bit of a kind of sweet. There's a little touch of sweetness to the beer as well. And then as we said earlier, the fruit notes really are. There's a lot of tropical character in there, but you do have quite a nice lemon, limey, citrusy type note to this one. So the way that this beer goes together for me gets a big thumbs up. Actually, I really like how this one goes together. So yeah, that is everything I think we need to say about this one, the Cosmic Collision from the Many Worlds Brewing. Really impressed with this. A very nice introduction to the brewery, of course. As I say, there are many. This is one of the things now. There are so many New England hazies out there these days. It's difficult for for them to stand out. But this one does actually. You can tell this is a really, really well made beer. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. From what I gather, they are planning to do some West Coasts and things like next year or something like that. And they do have a few other styles there. So, you know, if they can do this style that well, I'm curious to see what they can do with a few other beer styles as well. And apparently there are a few kind of Christmas beers and stuff on their way out soon as well, from what Christopher told me. So we'll just need to wait and see. But yeah, a very nice introduction to the Many Worlds Brewing, and I'm definitely impressed with the quality that this beer has shown. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on this brewery going forward, and this is another one that I need to keep an eye out for when I go across to Copenhagen now, I guess. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Many Worlds Brewing as well, and we will return to these guys at some point. Hopefully very, very soon. We'll keep an eye and see what we can find from them. But till the next time, Slange it, Scott. Cheers. Check out my social media. Check out the Many Worlds Brewing social media. And hopefully more reviews to come very, very shortly. Slange it, Skull, and cheers.